Hello and welcome to the channel where I brave bad movies and tell you if they're so bad they're actually good. Today we're talking about the Fatal Attraction movie Girl Followed, which follows 14-year-old Reagan, who attracts the unwanted attention of a 22-year-old stalker. So let's get into it. So the story starts with something that is only really touched on like once in the movie, with a random teenage girl who's walking down the street and a car pulls up beside her and abducts her after attempting to comically lure her into the car by saying that the neighborhood is dangerous and she should hop in.
This neighborhood isn't safe to walk in. Hop in.
Which, by the way, the neighborhood doesn't look dangerous at all, but I guess can't really tell by looks alone. Anyways, that ends. Like, that happens and that's it. The next scene is we meet the mother of the main character. I honestly don't know the mother's name. I'm sure they said it, but I don't know her name. She is looking at one of her daughter's friend's sisters. The girl has been up to nefarious deeds with boys. So of course the mother is worried about the influence that might have on her daughter. Reagan enters, the main character, and she meets the new receptionist, Nate. Remember Nate, because he will be important later. Spoiler, he is the stalker. Immediately, Nate is kind of creeping on her, but in a way that she doesn't realize it. He finds her in the break room because she's waiting for her mom to get off work, and he slyly is able to get her information on an app called Gym. Think of like MySpace meets Tinder for teenagers. So the thing that really kicks everything off is Reagan goes to a party at her friend Sabine's house, and she sees the boy she likes, Austin. But turns out Sabine also suddenly has a thing for Austin, which sounds about right for the best friend who's not really the best friend. So when Reagan finds out that Sabine sent Austin a scandalous photo of herself, Reagan immediately wants to try and get his attention by doing the same. So what she does is sends him a picture of herself in basically her gym clothes, which she later is ridiculed by Sabine for, which then leads into the next scene where she goes and steals fancy underwear. She takes the photo, sends it to Austin, who likes the photo, and of course she's on top of the world for a minute until her sister reveals later to their parents that the entire school now has this photo of her in this underwear because Austin forwarded it to like every person he knows. So, you know, great guy.
School has seen that.
Reagan, honey, be honest. Did you let a boy take a picture of you in your bra and panties?
What?
But this is what kicks off the stalking, I suppose. So somehow she accidentally sends Nate the same picture of her. So once her parents find out, she's grounded, as she should be. And she runs away. Once she gets to wherever she was going, some park, she calls up Nate because they'd been chatting a little bit and, you know, he had been becoming a confidant of hers, so she feels safe calling and talking to him, and he agrees to come and pick her up. Meanwhile, the school called, you know, to let them know that she skipped basically class, and now the parents are frantically trying to figure out where she's gone. Nate comes to her quote-unquote rescue, picks her up, and they go back to his house where she finds out that he lives in a mansion because his parents are loaded, basically. So they're there. Again, Nate's also not a great guy because he's like, here's some alcohol, don't tell your parents. Yeah. Of course, she accepts the alcohol and they bond more in a creepy way because he's like, let's get in the pool. And she's like, I don't want to get in the pool. But eventually she concedes because he plays like mind games. So Reagan goes home. Her parents confront her, ask her, you know, who she's with, where she's been, all that jazz. She makes up a lie, of course, you know, and she says she was at the park the entire time. Definitely not with Nate drinking or at the pool. So again, she's in more trouble. Her parents are like, we're going to search your phone. And if you delete messages, we're going to take your phone and your computer has to be in the family room. So no privacy or anything. So, you know, it's normal. I hate you, mom, runs to her room, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So the next day, though, she tells Nate that her parents are making her speak with a psychiatrist because based off of her sudden, you know, behavior of just being a misfit, they want her to see someone, get counseling, all that jazz. And Nate is against this idea. You know, he's like, psychiatrists are just going to get into your head. and report back to your mom. So this sort of brings him to his plan of the movie, which I guess is a plan, not a very good one. So Nate finds the psychiatrist, looks her up, realizes it's an expensive psychiatrist. You know, and he comments on that. Reagan is like, yeah, my dad has really good insurance with his job, and he's about to get a promotion. So Nate's plan is to get her dad fired so that he won't have good insurance and she won't go to a psychiatrist. Yeah. And how he plans to do this is by sending the scandalous photos that she sent to Nate, or, well, she accidentally sent to Nate, to his dad's company. So he sends the pictures to the higher ups, and then the higher ups come and talk to the dad, and they're like, hey, what's this picture? What's going on? And they're like, this looks bad for the company image. We don't know if you're gonna get that promotion. Which, by the way, the family has a really nice house, so like, I don't know if he needs that promotion. Like, they'd be fine. And the mom's a nurse. Like, they'd literally be fine. So the dad, who I forgot to mention is played by Joey Lawrence, and is in a completely different movie than everyone else. Like, he's so serious in this movie. But he's like, I don't know who sent you these pictures, but I'm gonna find out. And like, his best Batman voice. It's great. So the next part of Nate's plan is to also get the mother fired, and he attempts to achieve this by switching the chart for a child. So he puts on the fake chart that the child is not allergic to penicillin, when in fact he is. So the mother goes to give the child a shot of penicillin and almost kills him. She doesn't get fired though, which I wonder if that would get you fired. I don't know. But yeah, she doesn't get fired, so both of his plans are not working so far. So Nate convinces Reagan to sneak out to meet him, and they go to the park and they just kind of talk. Basically him telling her she doesn't need to see a psychiatrist, which definitely makes me think that he's seen a psychiatrist in the past for this behavior. Yeah, when she's sneaking back in, her sister, however, who I don't think I actually mentioned at this point, because really her sister Taylor is not important. Like, she has like a minor role of like telling the parents, you know, that what she saw about the pictures, and yeah, but she really doesn't play any role. Like, she calls the police later on in the movie, but that's it. But so her sister sees her sneaking in, and she's like, what the heck, Reagan? And Reagan's like, please, I just went to see my boyfriend who's a 16-year-old at another high school. It's not a big deal. Keep my secret, which Taylor initially agrees to. Eventually, though, I'm talking like the next day, she tells the mom about the boy, you know, the 16-year-old, because she's worried about her sister. She is the older sister, so, you know, kudos to her, worried about her sister. She swears the mom to secrecy, though, and the mom also initially agrees, and then proceeds to tell the dad, who of course is like, we're gonna confront her with this. The mom is like, no, I don't want to, you know, have Taylor not trust me anymore, so we're just gonna sit on this and see what happens. Now, I can agree with both parents' point of view. You know, it's like, we should confront her, let her know this isn't okay. And the mom is like, well, you know, let's see what else happens, you know, blah blah blah. But they don't do anything. Like, no motion detectors or nanny cameras just to make sure no one's sneaking out of the house. They're just like, we'll just see what happens. And, you know, like, the mom randomly wakes up the next time she tries to sneak out to see Nate, and they stop her. But I'm like, they didn't do anything. They were just like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, so Reagan tries to sneak out, but the parents wake up before she can, and they chase off the car. And the next scene is them confronting Reagan yet again about who that was, you know, what she's thinking. And the dad is like, give me the number. And she's like, no, I'm not. But who decides to call her but Nate? By the way, this just made me laugh because the Nate's number is saved as N-Dog because that's what he goes by. And I was just like, bro, please. But so the dad answers, he's like, who's this? In his best Batman voice. And I love, I don't know the actor's name, but I love the actor's portrayal of this part because, like, it's just so, it's so hammy.
You know, you can't stop me from seeing your daughter.
But yeah, so that happens, you know, basically where the dad now knows that the daughter's boyfriend is the one who sent the photos. And, you know, they've just been threatened, basically. So he's like, I own her, I own you, because I can send more photos.
I own her, and you. How are things at work? You know, it'd be a shame if more pictures started showing up.
Which they never say that she sent more photos, so I definitely think that was a bluff, if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, so that's where we're at right now. Also, this really bothers me because Nate hangs up the phone like this. I hate everything about that. So the next scene is basically the mom is talking to her boss, and she tells her about what happened. You know, this guy is talking about he owns Reagan and he sent the photos, all that jazz. So Nate is walking by and he hears this, and he hears, you know, that the parents are going to be going to the police. And so this kind of, you know, puts his radar up. He's like, okay, it might be time for me just to take Reagan and get out of here. So yeah, that's his next plan now, because the other plans have gone so well. So Reagan and the mom go to the psychiatrist. You know, Reagan has her session. She goes to the bathroom after the session. Nate has already snuck into the psychiatrist's office at this point. He finds her in the bathroom and he's like, hey, let's go. I'm here to get you. And she's like, I don't want to be in trouble anymore. Can we just, you know, cool it for a little bit? And, you know, this is basically the first time in the movie where he's not able to get her to agree to what he wants her to do. So he is aggressive and also reveals he's the one who sent photos to the dad's job to try and get the dad fired, so she wouldn't have to go to the psychiatrist. And this is when Reagan realizes he's crazy. Now, this next part I have a problem with, because I realize she's 14, but you just realize this guy is crazy and he has you cornered in a bathroom. Your mom and at least 2 other adults are out in the next room. Do you A, scream to at least let someone hear you and know something's wrong? B, tell him, all right, let's go, walk out with him, and then run and or scream to the adults? Or do you C, try and run away without making a noise, fall into him so that he can easily grab you, and then get kidnapped? If you chose C, then I don't know why you would choose that. But that's what happens. So she gets kidnapped, and as she's being kidnapped, the mom is looking for her. Runs outside, she sees she's trapped in a car and is calling out to her. This part I also am confused about. So the mom sees the car speeding out of the parking lot and she decides to race after it. They drove there in a car. So I'm like, you could easily have jumped into your car and followed that car. Because also, she runs for like 3 seconds and then she's like winded and she's like sitting there watching the car drive away. Again, you could have jumped into your car at this point. So I think at this point she was over Reagan's nonsense and it was just like, oh well, I tried. So we're getting to the climax here. So mom tells dad Reagan's been kidnapped. Dad contacts the police. Police figure out the guy's address. Mom goes to Nate's house because she was just looking to tell Nate what happened and see if maybe he had heard from Reagan. He's like, no, if I do, I'll let you know. He had also just quit that morning and was packing his bags. While the mom is there talking to him about everything that's happening, the detective gives the dad the address, and the sister, this is probably the only thing she does in the movie. The sister realizes the address the detective gave them and the address that the mom is at are both the same address. And there's a light bulb. Nate is the guy. Nate takes the mom hostage, finds the dad who's out by the pool, and he has a gun. The dad drops the crowbar and he's like, hey Nate, we can, you know, this doesn't have to end in violence. And he's like, oh, it doesn't? And then he shoots Joey Lawrence in the leg. By the way, Joey Lawrence with this gunshot wound does not act like he's been shot in the leg. He's just fine. Like he's been shot in the leg all his life. The sister shows up also. She runs to her dad. The mom elbows Nate and runs to the dad. And now Nate has them cornered right where he wants them. As he raises his gun to shoot, he gets shot actually by the detective. Yeah, and then he comically like spins. There's slow motion for some reason, and then he falls into the pool. He doesn't surface, so I'm just assuming, you know, he's gone. And Reagan can see the pool, so she sees him now, you know, in the pool. And I'm like, that is not traumatizing in the slightest. She'll be fine. She won't need anything. But yeah, that's the end of the movie, basically. You know, Reagan gets untied by the police who arrive, and then the movie ends with them all at the house. Reagan has transferred to a different school. She's doing better. Everyone's happy. Everything's great. Everyone's great. Except Nate. Because he's gone. Yeah. Anyways, so I give this movie a, if you're bored, go ahead and watch it. It was entertaining. The performances were fine. Nate and Joey Lawrence were particularly good. Joey Lawrence was in a completely different other movie than everybody else, and I don't know, Nate was like Nicolas Cage as the Joker. I don't know. It was great. If you like Fatal Attraction movies, I definitely recommend it. Yeah. So yeah, I give it a watch it if you're bored out of 10 review stars, whatever. Okay, so this is the first time I've done something like this, and it was fun, especially since I enjoyed this movie. Like, it was kind of campy a little bit. But yeah, so it's on Tubi for free. It's just got some ads that you'll have to deal with. But yeah, so it was good. Go watch it if you're bored. Thanks for hanging out, and hope to see you on the next one. I don't know what video I'll do, but it'll be fun. Bye. Oh boy. In dog.